Okay, Algebra 2 kids, real quick, supplemental video here. Something I talked about in that previous video. I got this first example here, and I have this exponent outside of parentheses, and just kind of what I was telling you guys last video. Remember, we're not allowed to do that, right? You cannot distribute an exponent into anything that is not a monomial, meaning it has to be one term. This has two terms. It's a binomial, okay? So we are not allowed to do this. Even if it was a trinomial, polynomial, it doesn't matter how many terms there are. If there are more than one, you cannot do this. Okay, we've talked about that. What you can do is, we know how exponents work. When something's squared, there's two of them. So I'm going to write out two of these 3x minus 2's. And then we should know anytime we have a binomial times a binomial, we are going to use the FOIL method, okay? Which stands for first, outside, inside, last. So, first is the first thing in both parentheses. Outside is the first thing and the last thing, because they're the two outside terms when you're looking at these. So that's outside. And then inside is the two smack dab in the middle. Okay? The second one in the first parenthesis and the first one in the second parenthesis. That's our inside. So first outside, inside. And then we got last, which is going to be the last thing in both parentheses. So the -2 and the -2, that's our last. And all you're going to do is multiply them together. So when I do 3x times 3x, okay, that first. No, I'm not going to write. That's confusing. Just look up here. We already marked it. We have first, right? The one in the green. So let's keep it green, I guess. 3x times 3x is 9x. Goes with what we just talked about. When I multiply variables, an x times an x is an x squared. Because I take their powers, they both got a power of 1, and I add them together. So 1 plus 1 gets me 9 squared. 9x squared gets me x squared. So that's my first. Now my outside, I have 3x times -2. Well, 3 times -2 is -6x. It just stays an x, right? Because this one has an x. This one doesn't, so the x can't change if he's not getting multiplied by another variable, right? So if I do 3x times -2, I can multiply 3 and -2. That gets me -6, but the x just tags along. So first, outside. Then the inside, I have -2 times 3x. -2 times 3 is -6x again. Again, don't change the power on the x. You didn't multiply it by another variable, right? If it doesn't get multiplied by another variable, you don't change it. And then last, we have -2 times -2. That's positive. So you FOIL it, first, outside, inside, last. And then you are going to combine like terms. Okay, so our like terms here, 9x squared. Usually 95% of the time, I'd say, maybe more, when you FOIL or multiply together polynomials, the first term shouldn't have a like term. So 9x squared is going to be part of our answer. So we're done with them. I like to mark them out when I'm done with them. In the middle, I have -6x minus 6 more x's. So -6x minus 6x is -12x. Not -12x squared. Okay, we just did a video on this. None of those rules that I talked about said to change exponents when you add variables together, right? It was all multiplying or dividing them. So when I'm adding two things together, -6x minus 6x, the power doesn't change, right? It's not the greatest example, but if I were to add 5 oranges to 5 oranges, I wouldn't get 10 oranges squared, right? Powers don't change when you add or subtract, so it just stay 10 oranges. So in this case, -6x minus 6x is -12x. Just combine them with the signs they have, so it's -6, -6, that makes -12. And then the +4 again, the last term usually shouldn't have a buddy, shouldn't have a like term. So there is my answer. And then good review for your Algebra 2 kids. This is in standard form of a polynomial, right? It has the highest power, then the next highest power, then the number last, or the constant last. And we would call this a quadratic trinomial because there's 3 terms. So good review there. So then one more, just to make sure we got FOIL down. So first would be 2x times x squared. In this case, it's 2x, since I have an x to the first and an x squared, 2 plus 1 is 2x cubed. Add the powers when you multiply. Outside is 2x times -4x. So 2 times -4 is -8. But I have an x times an x, so that gets me x squared. So yeah, first, outside, inside, 3 times x squared, that's just a positive 3x squared. No power changes, because no variables are getting multiplied together here. It's just a 3 and an x squared, stick them together, 3x squared. And then last, 3 times -4x, I get -12x. Now this one's interesting in the fact that there is not just a number all by itself. There's no constant. I kind of just made this one up to show you it kind of works with any type of binomials. Again, this was a binomial times a binomial, 2 terms times 2 terms. So the first term, again, usually should not have a buddy. He doesn't. There are no more x cubes in here. But I have a -8x squared and a positive 3x squared. I can combine those. They're both x squareds. They're like terms. So that's -5x squared. Again, don't change powers when you add or subtract when you're combining like terms. -8x squared plus 3x squared is just -5x squared. And then this -12x here at the end, he's just chilling. He doesn't have a buddy. Like I said, usually won't. And that's our simplified answer. Again, it is in standard form, if you're wondering. You got the x cubed, then the x, x cubed, then the x squared, then the x. This one would be called a cubic. That's what we call a power of 3 trinomial, because there's 3 terms. Okay. So I just want to give a quick review of FOIL for you guys. You do have 2 problems at the end of your assignment, Algebra 2 kids. Make sure you get those done, turned in by Friday. If you have questions, email me, text me, get a hold of me. There's plenty of ways. All right. Make sure you're getting your papers turned in by Friday. Again, hope you're having a good week. Staying safe, staying healthy. See you guys soon.